make a monogram. This is one of our middles art projects here at the Portland District Library. You should have already received your Take and Make bag when you registered at our youth desk. This is going to have all of the supplies that you need to complete this project, except for you are going to want to grab a pair of scissors and a pencil. Now, we love when patrons can take our project bags and add supplies that they have at home. So if you want to add anything to this project that you might have at home, more stickers, yarn, anything that you have at home, that would be super cool, and we encourage that because this project has a lot of creative freedom to it. Now, in just a minute, I'm going to go over what is in your Take and Make bag, and then I'm going to show you how to start your project, and then just give you some suggestions of things that you could try if you don't have any ideas of how you want to design your monogram. So let's go ahead and go over what was in the bag, and then we'll get started with the actual project. Before we get started with the actual project, I want to go over what is in your Take and Make bag. So the first thing that I want to show you is this piece of cardboard. This is going to be the base of your monogram, and this is what we're going to cut our first initials out of. Then you should have an assortment of ribbon, yarn, we've added some scrapbook paper. Then there's a little baggie that has a bunch of pom-poms, sequins, jewels, and then you also have a little container of Elmer's glue and some Q-tips. And the Q-tips are to help spread the glue on your different items that you have here. And again, if you have any craft supplies at home that you want to add to it, if you want to use markers, if you decide that you even want to paint, then grab those supplies and work with those as well. I think that is amazing if you already have those supplies at home. And if you don't, hopefully you can, create a wonderful monogram using the combination of items that we have offered you in your Take and Make bag. So next we're going to go over how to start the monogram, and then I'll just suggest a few things that you guys can try, and then you can go ahead and finish your monogram and hopefully take a picture and send it to us here at the library. So the first step to making your monogram is cutting out your initial, and you can use either the first initial of your first name or the first letter of your last name. I am going to choose to do the first letter of my first name, which my name is Eileen, and so my first letter of my first name is E. So what we're going to do is you're going to decide how big you want it, and you can either go, this direction or this direction. It's up to you entirely how big you want to make your letter. And what I would recommend is you draw basically a bubble letter of your first initial. And if you don't know how to draw bubble letters, I'm going to show you how to kind of figure out a really easy way to do it, hopefully. And so what I'm going to do is, instead of starting out with the bubble letter, because I'm not somebody who's good at drawing bubble letters, I am just going to really lightly write my first initial as I would normally. So I'm going to go ahead and write the letter E right here, and I'm going to go this direction. And I want to make mine a little bit smaller, but you can make yours as big as you want. So hopefully you can see that I did write the letter E right here. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add kind of a box around that letter, and that's going to form my bubble letter that I'm going to cut out and then decorate to create my monogram. So now again, I'm going to draw basically a box all the way around my letter E. And I'm trying to do kind of the same thickness on each side of the original letter that I drew. That way everything is kind of even and the same size. So here, hopefully you can see that, but basically you can see that here's the original letter E that I drew, and then I drew a box kind of all the way around. And you could make it curved, you could actually make it a bubble letter where you kind of curve all the edges. You could make it squiggly, so you can really kind of design this part however you want. But this is always what we're going to start with this project, because we need something to kind of glue all of our other little pieces together. So now I'm gonna take my scissors, and this is because it's cardboard, it is pretty thick, so it is gonna take some really kind of patience here and some hand strength. So if you need help with this part, I would recommend you ask maybe a parent or an older sibling in your household, anybody that would be able to use the scissors and kind of help you cut through this really thick cardboard that we have here. And as you'll notice, I decided to make my letter pretty small on half of the piece of cardboard. So if you wanted to make 2 monograms, or if you wanted to do both your first initial and your last name initial, that would be really fun. So have at it with the rest of the materials that you're left over with. And again, this part is pretty tricky. Cardboard is not necessarily the easiest thing to cut through, but we do want to make sure that we have a really nice, sturdy base for our monogram art. All right, can you kind of see it coming together a little bit here? And as you can see, I'm also just like cutting pieces off to make it a little bit easier to really cut the fine detail of my letter. And again, this is probably going to be the hardest part of the whole project, is cutting the cardboard to create our monogram. Okay, so there is my letter E that I've cut out of the cardboard. And now I'm gonna kind of push that all to the side. Now, this next part is where you have to start making some decisions. So I'm gonna bring my other supplies over here. So I have some scrapbook paper, some yarn, and all of my little decorative items. And then I have my Elmer's glue and my Q-tips to help kind of spread the glue. And what I want to start with is I am going to start by using some of the fun scrapbook paper here, and I am going to cover as much of my letter E with using the scrapbook paper. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to kind of trace where I want to put the scrapbook paper onto it. That way I know where to cut, and it'll be really easy to glue it down. So I am going to trace kind of the section that I want to add the scrapbook paper to. And then I'm going to go ahead and cut this out. And again, this is where you can start making decisions for how you want your monogram to look. I'm just showing you kind of what I'm doing, hopefully to inspire you, but you can do whatever you want for this section. So there you can kind of see how it's starting to look. And I'm gonna glue my scrapbook paper down the very last thing. I wanna kind of really get all of my pieces cut out first, and then I'm gonna glue everything down. If you wanna do it like piece by piece, that is totally up to you, but this is just what's gonna be easiest for me to do personally. And I am, I'm kind of collaging a little bit with the scrapbook paper. So some of it might be overlapping, and that's kind of the look that I'm actually going for here. So if you can see, that's what I've got so far. So now I just need a little strip for the top. And I'm trying to figure out what. Okay. Okay, so now I have my 3 sections of scrapbook paper cut out, and I'm gonna kind of overlay them. And the nice thing about using a pencil is that if you have kind of your pencil marks left over, you can erase them if you want. I'm gonna trim mine off using the scissors. But there is what I'm hoping it'll look like once I actually glue it down. So now I'm gonna start with the Elmer's glue. So I'm gonna take the lid off. And these are little, like, they're condiment cups. So, you know, if you go to a restaurant, sometimes they give you these in to-go cups, like ketchup and mustard and things like that. So we're gonna take the lid off. And then we're gonna use the little Q-tip to spread the glue onto our paper here. And so I'm just gonna put some on the edges here. And then I'm just gonna start adding it to my piece of cardboard here, lining everything up. And for me, I'm not too worried about making it look perfect because I'm gonna be covering it with a lot of this fun stuff over here that we haven't even touched yet. So I'm gonna just do my best to kind of eyeball it and glue that down. And that is gonna go down there. And you could choose to put it on the scrapbook paper. You could spread the glue like this on the cardboard itself. Whatever you think is easiest for you, do that. I'm very happy with mine so far. I'm really excited to add some of the more fun stuff, the yarn and the sequins and that kind of stuff to really tie it all together. All right, so now I have the base of my monogram done. And now I get to use some of these fun things. And I am gonna start by using some of this green yarn that I have. And with this, what you can do is you could glue it to the front of your monogram. You could wrap it around your cardboard monogram. You could decide to make little yarn balls, little pom-poms out of some of the yarn. So whatever you want to do with your yarn is up to you, but I'm just going to show you kind of what I am going to do with mine. So I am going to go ahead and cover, I'm going to put a little bit of glue here on the back. I'm going to put some glue down on the back of my cardboard, and then I'm just going to start kind of wrapping the yarn around this part. And because I have the glue back there, I'm not pulling super hard because the glue hasn't dried back there, and I don't want to pull it so hard that it comes off, so it is going to have to, dry. So I'm being rather gentle with it, but I'm just wrapping and wrapping to kind of cover the edge right there. And then, because I want to use this green yarn on another section, I am just going to stop right there. I'm going to cut it, and then I'm going to put a little bit more glue. And again, we're being very gentle because this glue takes, a little bit of time to dry. So I'm going to kind of press that. And you will get glue on your hands. Some parts of this are a little bit messy, so feel free to go wash your hands if you need to as you're working on this. So there you can see, hopefully, how I have wrapped the yarn on that. And I'm going to continue doing that up here as well. I'm also going to do kind of the corner up here. So I'm going to do like that. And then I'm just going to kind of wrap. Alright, and I do have to trim it a little bit because I can't wrap it again. So I'm just going to add some more glue, trim that, and then push that down. So now I have my yarn here and down here. And now the next thing I'm going to do is I have the super fun ribbon, and I am gonna do a couple of different sections with this wrapped around. So I'm gonna actually just cut little sections like that, and I think I want that to go right there, so I'm actually gonna put my glue right over my scrapbook paper. Push that down, and then I'm gonna glue it on the back side too. And I'm definitely starting to get glue on my hands, so I might have to take a little break here in a minute to wash my hands, but we'll see. We'll see. All right, so that is what that looks like now. And again, I'm gonna do it in a couple of different spots here. I think I want to do it in that direction down there. So. Alright, so that is what it is looking like so far. I am pretty darn happy with it up until this point. Now I'm trying to figure out, maybe I want to do a little bit more. No, I think I'm going to put the ribbon aside. I have one more color of yarn in my bag. This is purple, and purple is one of my favorite colors, so I am going to definitely want to use this. And I think I'm actually going to overlay it over my ribbon right here on the middle part of my E. So I'm going to start by putting the glue on the back. And then because again it's wet glue, I'm just going to gently wrap. So there is what that is looking like so far. And now I definitely want to use this ribbon or this yarn somewhere else. So I think I want to do the corner down here, kind of like what I did with my green yarn at the top here. Alright, so I've used both colors of my yarn. I've used the ribbon, I've used some of the scrapbook paper, and now I'm going to add some of these lovely jewels and pom-poms. So there's a couple of fun things that we've added. There's like a little clock and a little gear, so you might have some of these in your bag. And I am just going to glue those right onto my monogram. And I'm using a lot of glue, and those are going to need probably a lot of time to dry because they're so heavy and you have to use so much of the glue on them. Alright, so there's that. And then let's see, what else? What other kind of fun things do I have? I think I'm going to use some of these white pom-poms on mine. And then, let's see. Ooh, I have this really pretty purple jewel that I'm gonna use because that goes with my color scheme. And these actually have stickers on the back, so I just peeled off the little backing of that. So I'm gonna put that right there. And then I am actually gonna put a pom-pom right in the middle of this weird gear thing. So that looks kind of fun. So I'm gonna add lots of glue to that, lots of glue. And then I'm gonna put one right there too. So the pom-poms need a lot of glue. So I'm really packing that in there. Okay, there's that. Now, what else do I wanna add? There's a lot of sequins that you have in your bag as well, so I'm gonna go ahead and glue on some of my sequins here. I'm actually gonna layer some of those. Put one on top of the other. Let's see. Ooh, there's a really fun starburst one. Let me use that too. All right, so I know I didn't use a whole lot of my little extra pieces, but I am super happy with how my monogram has turned out. So again, this was just to show you kind of options that you have, but you have all sorts of creative freedom in how you want to create your monogram. So I wish you luck in doing this part, and I just hope you have fun with it. So before we end our video for today, I just want to thank everybody so much for joining along on this Take and Make Bag project with me. I hope you had fun doing it, and I would love to see any pictures or video you have of you completing the project or of your finished product, and you can send that to the email address on the screen below. And we would love to have you signing up for our next Middles Art project next month in March. And we would also love it if you visited the library to check out some of our craft books from our nonfiction collection. So I hope to see you guys soon. Bye for now.